Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and yesterday Apple released macOS Sequoia 15.1 Beta 2 along with macOS Sequoia 15 Beta 6. Both of them contain much of the same updates with the exception of Apple Intelligence on the 15.1 betas. You'll see it's available for the M1 and later for Apple Intelligence, and it's in the United States, so that's specific to 15.1, but most of the other things I'll show you actually pertain to both versions. Now, this update was released alongside many other updates with iOS 18 Beta 6, iOS 18.1 Beta 2, and many others. This came in at 3.3 gigabytes. This is on a 15-inch MacBook Air M2. Let's go ahead and close this out, and we'll take a look at the build number and then talk about what's new. So we'll go to the Apple, then about this Mac, and as you can see, we're on that M2 MacBook Air. If we click on macOS 15.1, you can see the build number is 24B5024E. This particular update actually does add quite a few things, mostly wallpaper related. So the first thing is, if we go down to settings, within settings, if we go under appearance, they've finally updated the icons at the top for light, dark, and auto to include the updated wallpaper for macOS Sequoia. So if we switch between light and dark, we can do that, and you'll see that it's updated in the background with those wallpaper. The same is true with wallpaper in general. They've added 3 new ones. So you'll see here, we have Sequoia Sunrise, and this was actually set on default. So let me minimize this so you can see the full thing. I'll remove the widget so you can see that as well. And if we lock the actual Mac, you'll see it starts to move. And then if I unlock it again, let's try that one more time. If I go ahead and unlock it, it starts to move a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't if you do it right away. If we go into the next ones here, so we'll go to Show All, you'll see we have one called Sequoia Morning. So again, very similar, but just sort of a morning shot of the overall view, and it starts to move like that. We'll unlock. And the last one is actually really nice, Sequoia Night. So again, we'll minimize, and if we lock it and unlock it, you'll see some of the fog start to move. So that's really nice through here. So those are the latest updates with the overall wallpaper with this update. Now there's more places they've updated that. We'll take a look at that in a moment, but Apple Intelligence has been updated just a little bit here. So if we click on it and say, what is the weather tomorrow? It actually has a little more bounce, just like they added in iOS 18 Beta 2. How about next week? It understands context, gives me an update for the next week with all the different conditions. So again, very similar to what you would expect. And then of course you can use voice as well. Or what were the Olympic medals? Give it a second, and then you can see the top teams and their current standings with medals. So that's something that's been updated a little bit. It's very minor, but it is a small change. If we go into music, there's an update here. So we'll give it a second to load. And once it loads here, there we go. You'll see on the left, they've actually renamed Browse to New. So this is something that they've updated recently. They did this again in iOS 18 betas that released the same time, where it's now named New instead of Browse with all of the same sort of updates. So I suspect they'll probably add this probably to podcasts and other things in future updates. If we go into Safari, there's some updates there also. Within Safari, if we go into Settings and we go to Tabs, they've updated this again with the Sequoia wallpaper in the background. Another thing they've added though, and this is more for 15.1 betas as they had this in 15 Beta 5. If we go here and then maybe we click on this icon here, we have the option to hide distracting items. So we can hide whatever we'd like. Maybe we want to hide this or hide this, or hide maybe this section here. You can do this throughout all of the different websites. Click cancel and they all come back. So we can exit here, go back into the main screen. And again, you can go to the same section here and then hide distracting items. So click on iPhone and it goes away, iPad, trade-in, whatever you'd like on any website, including advertisements, it seems to work. We'll check one more here. So if we go to Mac Rumors and we scroll down here just a little bit, and then we click on it, not only do we have a summary, we can hide distracting items such as this, or anything else. So it's a really nice update. We can just scroll through, get rid of what we don't want to see that's distracting, and continue to use the website. And if you click done, it will actually keep that information. Let's close that and we'll go into Photos. Within Photos, we have a new splash screen talking about new collections, more utilities, and featured photos. Now, under the library and everything else, pretty much everything else is the same, but it just gives you that splash screen going over the updates. The bigger update is on iPhone, where they got rid of the carousel. If we go into the Calculator app, that has a small update. So if we go into Calculator, you'll see our calculations here. And if we click the calculator in the bottom left, we have Scientific. We also have Programmer, and Programmer has been updated so that you can still get back to Basic and Scientific this time around. So that's something they've updated and looks to be working properly. Before, you actually had to go up here and change the view here to Programmer or whatever you'd like. For whatever reason, it was a little bit more complicated. Now they've added it all in the same place. One of the more recent or more annoying updates to macOS Sequoia has to do with the notification asking to allow to use something such as a screen recorder for 1 week. Every week it will prompt you and ask you to use this. Now, some people are saying after time it will say allow for 1 month. I would love to see a setting here where we could just allow it forever until maybe the application is updated. That's something that should be updated, I think, where every week is a bit annoying, especially if you haven't updated or changed the application. I would love to see that change. One other thing I wanted to mention has to do with the Finder. So if we go into Finder, and within Finder, if you have something saved within iCloud, maybe in Downloads, if you option click or right click, you'll now have Keep Downloaded. Now this was in previous betas, but if you want to keep it directly on your device, you can do that until you choose to actually not keep it downloaded. So if it's something you want to keep on the device, you can do that. If you want to edit something regularly, whether that's a photo, music, or something else. Now let's take a look at the release notes. And in the release notes, these are the public facing. They should be the same as the developer beta. You'll see there's not a whole lot for 15.1 beta 2. In fact, it just says there's a resolved issue with system integrity protection and a known issue with Siri. There's also general notes where it says refer to 15 beta 6 release notes. So if we go to that, you'll see there's many more resolved issues. In fact, there's pages and pages of it, it seems. So lots of things that have been resolved. But again, these are things that definitely should be refined by the time it's released to the public. Now, if you are having issues, make sure you check the release notes first, because there's a lot of known issues and Apple may already be aware of the issue. If it's not listed here, then definitely submit that feedback. But if it is listed here, they're definitely aware and working on it already. So you can just scroll through based on the heading and see what they've actually got as far as known issues, whether that's virtualization or something else. Now, if you're wondering if you should install macOS 15 beta 6 or macOS 15.1 beta 2, personally, I would never install it on a production machine, as I need to rely on that for Final Cut Pro, editing videos like this, so I personally wouldn't do that. However, if you have an older Mac sitting around and you want to try out some features, or it's not something that's critical, then you could definitely try it out. It seems to be pretty stable, whether that's Final Cut Pro, GarageBand, all of the Apple apps seem to be okay, but just keep in mind there could be some things that are odd here and there. That goes along with performance, where it seems to be running fine. I really haven't had any issues opening different applications. You saw me open music. If we go back in, it's one bounce, it opens right up, and then has to load everything from the internet. The same is true with Final Cut Pro or other applications. I really haven't had any issues as far as that goes. Going into the App Store, we're just waiting mostly for the internet connection. So everything seems to be pretty fast, but again, that's all of the Apple apps. I haven't really used third-party apps too much other than Pixelmator Pro, which works fine. If we take a look at battery life, well, I haven't run this too much on battery, but just in standby, it lasted me a week without an issue. I'm down to 50% as I'm currently charging. And if we go to battery and then we go to battery health, you'll see I'm at 100%. And I use this for notes and maybe editing photos and other things. And over the last 10 days, it hasn't been plugged in and it's used barely any power, just sort of sitting here. So it's done pretty good on the first beta. We'll have to see how it is with beta 2. And if you're interested in this, I could talk about it in the weekend follow-up video. Other than that, though, there's not a whole lot of other changes in macOS 15.1 or 15. So let me know if you found anything additional that I haven't mentioned. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Of course, I'll link the wallpaper I used at the beginning here in the description. So if you want to check this out on your iPhone, we'll just set this as the desktop picture here. If you want to check this one out on your iPhone, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.